Hi, I'm Serena, and this is my co-host, Mike, and you're listening to Diapers and Deployments, Who's Got It Worse? The podcast that talks about all things military, the good, the bad, and the oh shit. On today's episode, we're going to talk about homeschooling, we're going to talk about day drinking, and we're going to talk about prepping. Prepping like doomsday prepping. You know, do you have enough toilet paper stashed in your garage kind of prepping? This podcast is supported by Skill Mill Corporation, helping veterans transition to the civilian workspace.
All right, Serena. So you had a little trip to the doctor today. How'd you get there and what happened?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So a little bit of backstory, no pun intended. I went to the chiropractor, but I've never really had a back problem or anything like that. I'm vertically challenged. So I like to think that I'm not carrying. I'm like a little bit more limber and short, so I've never had any problems like that. But I recently had a issue with my backside that.
Well, now, wait a minute. This is a family show, Serena. We're not going to talk about ass surgery on here.
But I mean, it led to a surgery, and then I was not sitting correctly because obviously I was overcompensating on one side of my tush than the other because of the surgery. So that led me to what I thought I was having like tailbone pain, but I'm not a doctor. I went to the chiropractor because they're the professionals, right? And I was explaining to this chiropractor my issues, and she was like, well, that's not really your tailbone. That's your sacrum, where your hip bones meet your, I don't know, lower back.
Some bone.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Okay, so I've never been to a chiropractor. It's like voodoo, magic. I don't know. But this woman gets me on this table, and she's telling me how to breathe and whatever. And she's got me laying on this table. My face is smashed between these little things, which I've never done
Sounds
before.
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm hanging on for dear life. And she's like pushing on my legs and pushing on my knees. And well, I'm laying on my stomach and she's pushing on my calves and pushing on my knees. And she's like flopping me around. And I'm like,
hey, wait a minute.
Okay.
Was this at a Holiday Inn? No.
It was like one of those places where you have to like sign a waiver.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
It wasn't like a cash only place.
All right. Good.
She is telling me how to breathe. And as soon as I let out this breath, she cracks my back like a glow stick. And it took my breath away. It took my breath away. And I was like, whoa. And so I flip over because she asked me to, and she starts feeling on my hips. And that's where, like I said, I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about my bones. I just know I got a lot of them in my body. And she's messing around with my hips. And she's like, well, this is the problem. And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you feeling of, lady?
Yeah. She puts me in a position that I was like, well, hello. Like I've got like a leg over my head. She's got her hand like on my pube bone and she's pressing down and my leg's in the air and she's like twisting it to the side. And I'm like,
oh my God,
what is going on? But it felt so damn good when she was done. I was like, holy crap, that felt great. So much so I started crying and I wasn't in pain. Yeah, I know. I wasn't in pain. It didn't hurt me. It was like a release. And that's what she said. She said, sometimes that happens to people. She said, sometimes people throw up. Sometimes people have to go to the bathroom. And she was like, and crying, she's like, that's normal. And I was like, whoa. I mean, it just made me feel so bizarre. It was so bizarre, but in a good way.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. This strange lady pushes on your pube.
Yeah, pube.
Puts your leg behind your head and you started crying because it felt so good. That's the story I got. Is that sum it up?
In a nutshell, yes.
Well, I'm glad you had a good trip to the doctor, Serena.
Yes. So I'm a believer now. Chiropractors are where it's at. They know what to do.
Well, in all seriousness, I'm going to need her number.
Yeah. She's a very nice, friendly young lady. She's very pretty. And she actually, when I started crying, she said, do you need a hug? And I was like, oh gosh, when I get home, I'll have my kids give me a hug. And she's like, no, let me hug you. And she squeezed me. And I'm like, okay.
We may not want to put this woman's name on the air.
Yeah. No, she's great. I've actually been singing her praises personally, like to all my friends and family. I'm like one of those people now, like I got an Instapod. I tell everybody about it. Go to the chiropractor, tell everybody about it because now I'm like, I believe in this shit. It's great.
Well, you heard it here. If you need a chiropractor, Serena's got your hookup.
Yeah.
All right. So, a lot of people around the world are doing a little thing called homeschooling their children right now.
Oh, God.
I know. Trust me. I know. So, I wanted to take a little time to talk about it. Let me get your opinion on homeschooling and what are you going through?
Hell.
Well, that sums it up. All right. Next topic.
Holy crap. Where do I begin? My kid's last day of school was March 13th. And here we are in the fall of 2020 and they are not in school still. We are still 100% virtual, 100% locked in our homes, and it sucks so bad.
What about all those teachers who told you last year your kids were angels? Were they lying?
Oh, God. You know how many times a day I say, I know you're smarter than this. I say that so much.
My wife says that a lot too, but anyway.
Oh, it's killing me. It's killing me. I mean, I suck at 6th grade math. I suck at 6th grade science. I'm borderline starting to suck at 3rd grade math because now they're getting into this Common Core regrouping.
Oh God, I went through that. Yes.
Oh my God. And the circles and the squares and the lines. And I'm like, what in the shit is going on here? Why can't we just do it the way I know how to do it? It's awful. I mean, and then you got my husband who is like, math comes real quick, real easy. And he's like, this is how you do it. It's like, he's doing it in his brain really fast. Right. And our kids are looking at us like we have 25 heads. I'm like, yeah, this is insanity. I don't like it one bit. I feel like I'm in school all day with them.
Hey, when I was 21, 22 years old, I moved to Georgia. This was way back before homeschooling was cool. And my neighbor said she was going to homeschool her kids. Now, I just met this lady, Serena. I just moved in the neighborhood, but I'm a smart ass and I can't help myself sometimes. And my wife she rolled her eyes when I said it and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. But anyway, she said, yeah, I'm thinking about homeschooling my kids. And this kid looked at me and goes, yeah, it'd be nice to be homeschooled. And I looked at him and I had a serious look on my face. I said, the only problem with being homeschooled is you'll never be any smarter than your parents. And then I just had a dead stare and I looked at her and my wife was like, she said, I wanted to crawl under a table.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. But that's true. I mean, it's true.
Well,
I was a substitute teacher as a job, like a permanent job at a school. And it is so much easier to care for and nurture and to teach children that are not your own. I should say.
I can understand that. But I tell you, you have 2 young kids. Mine's 15 years old. So having her here and homeschooling is a lot different for me. So I kind of got it made when it comes to that. Now, that didn't stop me from doing a little day drinking when I was trying to teach. I don't know. You too?
Instacart. I need my wine delivery.
Now, does your wine come in a box?
Heck no. My wife.
Whoa.
My wife. Hey, I've always said I wanted a wife. I've always wanted a wife. But the closest I can get to that is a cleaning lady. But my wine comes in a bottle. I love Kim Crawford. It's my favorite. But it's got a twist top. And some people are like, it's not a cork, but it tastes good.
Well, hey, when this whole pandemic started, restaurants closed, no bars open. And my buddy is a liquor distributor. And I assumed wrong, liquor sales are down, everything. I knew people made me drink a little more at home. And I was like, hey, man, how you doing, since the pandemic and everything? Because, he works on commission and stuff. He goes, oh, my God. Sales are up over 300%. It's like, wait a minute. You got every bar in town shut down. You can't go out to a restaurant and you're telling me that you're up 300%. He goes, I've never seen anything like it. And
oh my gosh,
because people are really day drinking. Like yeah. I make fun of it, and I may pop a beer before 5 or noon sometimes, but but apparently it's spread and everybody's doing it, Serena. So, enjoy that box of wine while you're teaching your kids 3rd grade math.
Need to relax. And I mean, I don't know, in some states, things are different, but in the state of Washington, you can get alcohol delivered. So you Instacart that, Total Wine and More, put in your order. They'll deliver it right to your doorstep. No one's even got to put on real clothes or real shoes, and the wine is delivered.
Oh my God, the world we live in.
Right. Well, I'm happy that for your friend who's got his sales are booming. That's nice.
Yeah. Thanks to all you day drinkers. My buddy's going to buy a new car, so thank you.
So I have my 2 kiddos with me, my 6th grader and my 3rd grader, and I wanted to know what they thought about mom being their teacher for the year. What do you think about it?
I like it.
You do?
Yeah, I like staying home with my mom.
And you think I'm doing a good job helping you?
Yes.
What do you think, Egan?
I think it's pretty good because maybe I can convince you into giving me a little less of homework instead of a bunch.
Well, but your teachers are the ones that decide your homework, not me.
Oh, I thought it was if you were the teacher.
No, I mean, I guess I'm being your teacher because I'm making sure you're getting your stuff done in the right way. I mean, your teachers are great because they're assigning you all the homework, and I'm just helping you, keep it organized and whatever. Do you like it better being here with me helping you do that, or would you rather be at school?
I'd rather be at school.
Yeah, because you want to see your friends?
Yeah.
I don't blame you. How about you, Joe? Would you rather be at school, or would you rather be home with mom?
I don't know. I do want to see my friends, but I also want to stay home with my mom doing homework.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough.
All right, Skylar, do you know what a prepper is?
No.
So it's someone who like preps for the end of the world. They got like stuff in their basement and like, tons of toilet paper and canned beans and shit. They got bunkers. I don't know. So they're ready for the apocalypse. What do you think about that?
I think it's stupid.
Well, hey, at least she's honest. Now, why do you think it's stupid?
Because what's the point of, doing all that if, nothing happens and it just goes to waste?
But what if we have a zombie apocalypse?
Okay, then we can talk. But until then, it's stupid.
You heard it from a 14-year-old. Zombie apocalypse, we can talk. If not, it's over. All right, there you go, preppers. All right, we've been looking for someone to come on the show, talk about prepping, and it's been a little harder than I thought it would be. A lot of people just don't want to talk about it. But Serena, I think you found somebody for us.
I found a nice lady named Misty that is also a military spouse that is going to talk to us about what she does as prepping, just to kind of give us insight, because we've kind of talked before on the show about my husband being what we call prepper light.
Yes.
As a service member, he's always wanted to prep. I always have to rein him in because we PCS every few years and we have weight limits and we can't have all of these extra dry goods and we can't have canned goods and we can't have, for our personal protection, we can't have that kind of stuff in bulk because it's heavy and you can't move it. I mean, you can, but it costs you money.
Right.
So we've always been prepper light, and he wants to prep. He worries about the economy. He worries about natural disaster sometimes. I mean, we grew up in Kansas, so tornadoes are a thing, and we don't belong to a church or a community where they have those kind of food pantries and things like that.
Right.
So he worries about that kind of stuff. But then also today's world, he's worried about how do we protect ourselves?
Right.
If shit hits the fan. I mean, I know that I used to laugh about that saying, but today I kind of don't laugh about it. So
I don't laugh about it anymore either. So,
anyway.
Yeah, Misty, welcome to the show.
To get into it.
Hi, guys. It's nice to be here. Thanks.
So I guess we'll start off. Misty, what started you with, what kind of, I use the word prepping, but what do you guys do as a family that you would consider, and I'm using air quotes here, prepping? Do you have just canned goods and things like that? Or what do you do? Tell me. What made you start doing it?
So really, I have been prepping, and I don't like that because that's kind of a dirty word that people give you funny looks over.
I agree.
I've been prepping since before prepping was cool.
Yeah.
Basically because I grew up in that type of a lifestyle, and not like the doomsday type preppers, but very rural. I grew up on a farm, partly because my family had always tried to be self-sufficient as possible, and partly because, growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, there weren't a lot of finances. My father worked in the oil field, and it was either boom or bust. So we gardened, we raised our own animals for food, whether it be eggs and milk or fried chicken and hamburgers. So it was a natural thing for me. And my husband and I have been married for going on 12 years now. He had quite a few years in the military prior to that. Right now, he's looking at about 22 years in. And because of the community that he is in the military and his rate, he's very much tied into one base. He's kind of in high demand. So where we are, we're very fortunate.
Right. You don't have to move around. You don't have to worry about that.
Where we are exactly. And my folks are right down the road. So this is where I'm from. And after we've been married for about a year, we had our daughter, who is now 11. And I was fortunate enough to get to stay home with her and leave the career that I had been in. Mm-hmm. So that brought me to, I want my kids to see how I grew up and experience that. So we started with chickens and goats. Then I've got milk cows. We've raised hogs and things like that.
I love it.
So honestly, prepping has been a lifestyle. I don't think of it as prepping. I think of it as being self-sustainable or as self-reliant as possible.
And that's really awesome. I mean, I think I feel that the most when my husband talks we don't have enough of this, we don't have enough of that. And I'm like, babe, we live in a little tiny cul-de-sac in a city that we're leaving in 3 months, relax. But I like the feeling, what he's talking about. I would love to be able to sustain ourselves in that sense. If I need something, I love the idea of knowing that I have a can of tomatoes downstairs that I grew myself. Well, I don't have a green thumb. My husband does. That he grew and then that I was able to can. Like that feeling has to be really good.
It absolutely is. I mean, like you said, there are so many things that can happen, whether it be natural disaster related or the economy. And to know that even in the smallest way, you can provide, whether it's you're growing your own greens for dinner or you're growing enough to can and use through the summer and they put by for the winter.
So do you just, do you only
awesome.
grow for your family?
That's really is. I do. Right. I grew up in that if you have extra, you share it. I do can. But if I've got an overabundance of zucchini, it's zucchini season because everybody locks their cars so they don't get the bag of
hold on.
squash.
Why do they lock their cars? I'm confused on that one.
Because those people that garden, zucchini is always the running joke because once it starts to put on, then you have more of it than you could ever use. And so you start giving your neighbors and people in your community bags and bags
unlocked
of
cars
zucchini or squash. Right. Just a random donation. Here you go.
I love that. I mean, I love if I would have a bag of zucchinis in my car, which I was able to grow zucchinis in South Carolina when we lived there. My husband had a hydroponics garden and the zucchini took so well to that. We had so many. I was like, people come take these zucchini because I can't eat them. I can't make enough bread. And my kids were sick of them. Like we had so many and I don't know how to can. I need to teach myself.
Well, let me tell you, dehydrators are great things.
Oh, I do have one of those because I dehydrate fruit. So, that's a good idea.
Well, you guys are talking.
I'm learning
about
something. Okay, so then
that's awesome. I'm more of a Costco prepper.
Misty and I are going to be friends because as soon as. Now, I will say this: I do have to stock. I don't stock like a crazy person, but I always make sure we have toilet paper and paper towels in the house because of my little ones. And then I have an autoimmune disease where I need to have certain medication. And so I do stock that kind of stuff just in case, because you never know if you're not gonna be able to get it. And I don't stock it in an odd, horrific amount, but if you can't get to the
Serena,
store,
what do you consider an odd amount?
in Kansas? Like I'm talking like a couple Costco size bottles of the medication I need. Then that'll last me maybe a month or two. Growing up in Kansas, if you have an ice storm, you can be out of power and you can't leave your house because of ice for a week or two. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not even talking about collapse. I'm talking about how do I survive for a week or two without that kind of stuff. So Misty says she preps for her family. And then if she has enough, she shares. So Misty, do you make sure that you always have a certain amount of things on hand? Do you keep track of that kind of stuff? I would assume you have to so things don't go bad, right?
Absolutely. And I try to treat what I have put up in stock like a grocery store would. First in is what we use first. And so anything that I buy new goes to the very back of that tub or the shelf. And I do keep quite a bit extra lately since we're in this odd situation with the pandemic, because I too have an autoimmune disorder. So I've been able to kind of be a hermit and enjoy being a hermit finally, because I have a good reason to. So if it's something that's just in a tub, it's got a Sharpie the date on it. So I know that I'm using things in order of which they were purchased, and I keep an eye on kind of where my expiration dates are. But of course, that's in the casual preppers like to tell you that expiration dates are not a huge thing, whether it's in canned goods or even medications, because those are usually just recommendations. I don't always stick to that. So
I think you got to look at your vegetables and stuff like that.
I couldn't, it sounds like you have.
I'm not going to eat a puffy can of carrots.
Right. Anything that's dented or dinged or from 1970, then obviously
you're probably not going to be eaten. So, I mean, it sounds like when it comes to the military, and I say this in the most nicest and politest way, and it comes from my heart, you guys have had it kind of made with being able to prepare for your family and live the life you live. And that's awesome. I mean, I envy that as a military spouse. And that's so awesome that you guys got to do that as a family. And you say that you've stayed in this one place for so long, and you've been fortunate enough to stay home with your children and your husband being in the military. Does that mean that you bared a lot of the weight of your little homestead?
Absolutely. And that was an agreement. My husband is not a huge animal lover. We do not work cows well together. together.
You got to really get along to do that.
You really do. And so there are some ugly words said sometimes and apologies made later. And the understanding was always that I knew what his job was and that I make plans and God and the military laugh. So he had said, as long as you have money to buy these things, to feed these things, and you've paid the bills first, you do whatever you want, but know that you have to take care of it. So I was the one slopping hogs or throwing hay and drain to cows or milking cows twice a day. It is my deal. So aside from virtual learning for my kiddo that I supervise right now, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
I have an 11-year-old Misty myself, so I feel you.
Well, you guys said virtual learning. Me and Serena were talking about that earlier. That's not a little thing. Teaching homeschooling these kids is a big thing.
No.
It takes a lot of damn time.
It really is. And I try to give a lot of grace to our teachers because they're phenomenal individuals. Yes. And where we're at right now, we have the option to be virtual or to be a traditional student. But because of the restrictions that they put on our military members and the risk that I'm under with my health, we decided to keep our daughter home and to do virtual. And it's really tough on these teachers trying to teach a traditional class, and then they've got double the burden because they have to keep track of virtual students. Right. So we kind of fall in between the cracks where we don't get all of the new learning instruction. Mm-hmm. And so do you remember when Jeff Foxworthy made a show called Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Are you smarter than a fifth grader?
I wasn't very good at it, just to throw that out there.
I used to think maybe I was. No, but I love Google because you can put almost anything, fifth grade, blah, blah, blah. And
it comes right up.
It does. And so I'm relearning and teaching my kiddo as well.
I keep saying all the time, I mean, my husband walks in the door at night and he looks at my son and I like, what happened today? And I'm like, I can't do math. You need to help us because it's just, we can't do it. Well, I have to say, Misty, it sounds like, especially right now in 2020, you've probably had your hands full with schooling and keeping your homestead running and keeping that lifestyle running. It added an extra COVID, added a flair to all of that. So I feel bad that happened to you, but I hope that you felt prepared. I mean, you probably weren't running to the stores like 75% of America when this all happened. You were probably chill and cool as a cucumber. You were ready to go.
Well, I feel like I was a little bit more prepared than other folks, but there was still that apprehension. There always is, I think, a little bit to a degree. And, along the lines of, I don't prep for any certain thing. I do try to kind of keep an eye on what's going on in the international news, even the local news, just to see what's going on. I mean, how does it look? How do gas prices look? What's the weather going on? Is that going to affect corn crops or soy or wheat and things like that?
Wow.
All I worry about is what time the Walmart's going to close.
Mike and I are so I feel like Mike is on the total opposite end of the spectrum of you. And I'm kind of like falling right in the middle. I did grow up on land and I grew up with farm animals and 4-H and all of those things. We didn't raise cattle to eat the beef ourselves, but we had steers and things like that. I'm not totally naive to farm animals and what it takes. I mean, I think of you right now and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I can't imagine if I had to get up and go feed everybody and make sure no water's frozen and make sure, everybody's got hay and everybody's warm and whatever. And then come back to the house and then help make sure my kids are doing all their schoolwork. I can't imagine having to do all that right now. And I know people do that. I mean, I know that's the tale as old as time. People that actually homeschool, they have to do that too. But I can't even fathom having to do that right now. So,
let me tell you, there are definitely times when it's, 10, 15 degrees outside and I'm saying, screw this, let's sell everything and move to
Florida.
I'm not going to 15.
You're ready to trade all those.
You're gonna be a snowbird and move to Florida.
Trade all those real animals in for one of those pink flamingos in a trailer park in Florida.
Exactly. I'm done mowing the yard. I'm done busting ice. Let's just go.
That's so funny. So just to kind of wrap this up, I know that you had said right at the beginning that prepping is such an ugly word. And I do agree with that. I mean, I feel like it makes people sound cuckoo. And it's really, I know that there are some people out there that you're like, whoa. But then there's also some that just want to live off their own land and sustain themselves, which I think, is really admirable. And so let's say, what's one myth that you would like to say to us and to everybody listening that the thing that you like the least about that ugly word of prepping? What's the worst myth?
Oh my gosh. Not everybody is a doomsday prepper. Do you remember the show?
Oh, yeah.
We're,
Oh, yeah.
We're not all insane. We don't all stock beans, Band-Aids, and bullets. There's so much that's involved in that. It's not end of the world and zombie apocalypse stuff. It's being prepared to take care of your family regardless of what life throws at you. And I think a lot of military spouses can agree with that and say, if they really stop and think about it, they're a little bit prepper at heart too.
Yes, I totally agree.
That's
And
what Serena
that, I mean,
said.
what a great note to end this conversation on. I mean, that's great. And as a military spouse, we have to learn to roll with the punches. And
Be prepared.
this, I feel like this world that what we're in for today, like everybody is kind of getting a taste of what a military spouse kind of has to deal with. And these people all have everybody is stuck at home. You know, we're usually doing this solo, and what a wild time. Like this is history books material that we're living in right now. But Misty, I totally appreciate you talking to us. I know that it's a sensitive subject for a lot of people. So I love that you gave us some time today to ask you some questions. And I'm not going to lie, I will probably be reaching out here soon because I'd love to learn some things that, you know, pick your brain a little bit. It sounds like you might be a wealth of knowledge for me who's a little bit newer to this kind of stuff, but not so new that I don't know totally what's going on. You know, so I'd like to learn. Yeah, I'm not Mike, but I'm also not as good as you. So I'd love to learn if you'd be willing to teach me off the record.
Absolutely. Anytime, Serena. I think it's important that we all always keep our skills updated and growing.
Yeah. Well, we're moving back to Kansas here in a couple months. So I'm going to be in touch with you for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for talking to us. Do you think we're prepped enough for coronavirus?
I mean, we definitely have chargers, so I would say yes. And food. Chargers are the main thing.
What if we can't go to the store?
Then we're doomed. We're gonna have to be like trash pandas.
Jojo, what's a trash panda?
A trash panda is a raccoon.
Who made up that name?
Who made it up was Willow.
Oh. Thanks for listening to this episode of Diapers and Deployments, brought to you by Skill Mill.
Go to skillmill.com to check out our blog and create an account. You can also find us on social media. Let us help you find your next career.
Don't forget, that's skill with 2 L's and mill with 1.
Until next time.
Ciao.